Hey, how's it going, guys? So this is going to be my top 5 stacks for DFS on DraftKings for Week 6. I'm going to be going over my top 5 guys and their pass catchers that I think are going to hold the best value, and most of them are going to be really low ownership again, with there being such a small pool of games that the field are going to be picking their stacks from this week, with the Kansas City Buffalo game and the Seahawks matchup as well. So again, we're going to go over those stacks that I have in here, and see if we can find some good value, and see what kind of stacks we can throw into our lineup builds for Week 6. And to start us off, we're going to go with PJ Walker. Now, before you go ahead and switch the video, there's a reason behind this. So PJ Walker has been with the Carolina Panthers for a few years now. He knows the offense. I know he came in as a late game replacement for Baker, but 5 for 6 is something to come into this week with, with a breath of fresh air, I guess, with everything that's going on with that organization. Another reason I think this is, a very, very volatile pick here. The Rams are going to be throwing the ball a lot. In an earlier video, I said Matthew Stafford's going to have to dump the ball off to the running back and go for the short passes rather than rely on Cooper Kupp. But should PJ Walker be as efficient as 5 for 6 or even anywhere remotely close to that, he's going to be able to keep Carolina in the game. They're playing with nothing to lose here. Basically, with Matt Rule being fired, this whole entire season is a wash. So they have nothing to lose. They're playing for everything else to gain. They're really playing the guys to figure out who needs to stay, who's going to keep their spot whenever that new coaching regime comes in. So again, PJ Walker at $4,900. I think he's less than 1% owned in GPPs this week, and he's going to be really easy to build a stack for. Again, they haven't really been the lights out defense that we've come to know them as. DJ Moore is still getting the massive target share. I mentioned him in my wide receiver values video as well. Again, 8 targets, 11 targets, and 6 targets for the remaining weeks so far this season. Still able to put up double-digit fantasy days with the atrocious performances that Baker's had so far. On the flip side of that, Robbie Anderson looks like he was on the injury report on Friday for an illness, but he's the second highest targeted guy in that offense. He's turned it around this year compared to last season as well. And then one of the few teams where obviously Christian McCaffrey, or the running back rather, is viable in your matchups. I mean, 9 targets, 12 targets. I mean, just ridiculous from the running back's position, the type of volume he's getting in the passing game. And I don't think that's going to change just because P.J. Walker is going to be in there at quarterback this week, with Baker being out with the injury. So there's so many options you can go with this P.J. Walker stack. And obviously with the bring back situation, you know the top guy to bring in there for the bring back is going to be Cooper Kupp. Our next guy is going to be the highest owned quarterback stack of this week, and it's going to be Geno Smith. Geno Smith is projecting to be almost 15% owned right now. He's been the most efficient quarterback on the season, been the most surprising player on the season. As far as the quarterback position is concerned, he's at $5,700 going against a Arizona Cardinals defense that's been very susceptible to being scored on, basically. They're playing at home as well, and they got some receivers that are very affordable. And on the flip side of that, you still have bring back players that are also super affordable. I don't know how I got Marquise Goodwin there. I was definitely going for someone else. I was going for Tyler Lockett. Excuse me. So, like I said, the two pass catchers, Lockett and Metcalf, super affordable. Metcalf being fairly higher than Lockett, though, at $6,800. I like the options as bring back players with Rondale Moore, A.J. Green, and Zach Ertz as well. As I mentioned in the early look video, Zach Ertz has had a very quietly great season so far. I mean, he's averaging 13 fantasy points a game. So, I mean, he's basically tight end. He's in the top 5 tight end so far on the season. So, he's definitely an option as a bring back player for Geno Smith and that Seattle Seahawks stack. My third guy is going to be on the flip side of the Carolina game. Is going to be Matthew Stafford. Hasn't exactly put up the performances that we would expect a reigning Super Bowl champion to put up. He's been focusing super hard on getting the ball to Cooper Kupp. Basically, too much to the point where it's obvious, and defenses are already adjusting to that. Allen Robinson has been a complete ghost this season. One of the most disappointing fantasy players this year so far. Definitely had him in a bunch of best ball drafts, so he's been really killing me so far. But Tyler Higbee is also a good option in this stack. We know these are the 3 main guys. Well, I'm going to say 2.5, because Robinson, any given week, he's good enough to get the targets that we would expect him to get, being the type of receiver he is. But, again, it's going to be one of those type of players where he's going to have 2 straight weeks where he's just going to put up 20-plus fantasy points, and all of a sudden everybody's going to start flocking to him. But in the meantime, it's going to be hit or miss. It's kind of like just a wait until it happens and then finally jump on it. But already talked about the wide receivers for the Carolina Panthers stack here with DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and then I would even throw in Christian McCaffrey into that as well. But if you're going to get to Cooper Kupp, you're going to have to pick one or the other, or you're really going to have to search hard for value going into the rest of your stack and your roster build. So, like I said, if you want to throw Cooper Kupp and Christian McCaffrey into that stack, you're going to have to get cheap. You're going to have to get creative in how you're going to build that lineup. You're going to have to take some chances, maybe even get the Steelers in there and hoping that you get a cheap pick 6 in there. You're going to have to throw, have some dart throws. As far as the receivers go, I would personally just go Rondale Moore and then go from there, keep finding value as much as you can for those stacks. But it's doable. It's going to be kind of difficult if you're going to try and get Kupp and McCaffrey into that stack, but it's definitely doable. It's just going to take a lot of fine-tuning and a lot of fine-tooth combing through the salaries here to get you to a decent spot for your last running back spot, and maybe a decent spot for your other wide receiver there as well. My fourth guy is going to be Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks offense here. Tom Brady, since the news of his personal life coming out, he has apparently just thrown his entire focus to football. 29.4 against Kansas City, 22.74 against Atlanta. He's looking more like Tom Brady here in the past 2 weeks. You've got Mike Evans, he's got Chris Godwin back healthy at $7,000 and $6,100 respectively. And then on the flip side of that, you got a target monster in Deontay Johnson at $5,700 here. 13 targets there, double-digit targets all but week 4 basically, putting up double-digit fantasy days as well. All but that same week he only got 4 targets. So, Tom Brady, a very viable stack option here with his pass catchers. I would even say Leonard Fournette would be okay with this stack. I know usually we like to go ahead and do double stacks with wide receivers or tight ends only, but because of the volume that Leonard Fournette gets, not only in the rushing attack but the passing game as well, you have to throw him in there, and you have to. He has to be an option when Tom Brady is in your lineups. And for my last stack that I'm going to recommend is anybody in this game. It's basically that simple. This is the type of game where you have any kind of share in this, you're going to be on the plus side of any kind of lineup build. Obviously, you got to have common sense as to throwing certain players into your lineup builds. Like, you can't just throw in, Sky Moore and say, oh, well, I got a piece of that game. Well, duh. You have to. There's so many ways you can be right in picking from this game rather than being wrong. But anyway, Josh Allen, we know what he's capable of. He's able to put up 30 points any given game. He's averaging that this year so far. I went over him in the early look video. Just a monster, complete monster. On the flip side of that, you got Patrick Mahomes, who's basically the future of the NFL. Both of these guys are. There's not much to say. Everybody knows that these guys are going to be throwing up huge numbers this week in Week 6. I would probably be more inclined to play Patrick Mahomes over Josh Allen, not only because they're playing at home, but if looking at projected ownership, Josh Allen right now is looking like he's getting close to 20% ownership. Patrick Mahomes hasn't quite hit 10% yet. I know Buffalo's favored, but if Patrick Mahomes is playing from behind, I definitely like garbage time touchdowns. I like garbage time yardages and completions and all that good stuff. So if Patrick Mahomes that's playing from behind is nothing but good things, has nothing but good things to happen for you. So again, it's so simple to build a stack between this entire game that I'm not even going to say pick Josh Allen or pick Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, I'm leaning more towards Patrick Mahomes just from an ownership standpoint. But if both of them, if one scores 30 points, one scores 28, it's not. You're basically covered for that stack basically. So yeah, you can't go wrong with this game at all, despite the ownership. Yeah, just play Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. You'll be just fine. All right, so that was my top stacks for Week 6 for DFS on DraftKings. Let me know who your top stack is for Week 6 going into the NFL Sunday main slate. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video and stay tuned and ring the notifications bell as well. That way you can get some notifications letting you know when I release a new video for fantasy football this year. So thank you guys for watching again. Thanks.